right, so we're in the shop today. It's a little chilly because I left the garage door open, so I've got the heat turned up now and I'm trying to warm up, so I may downgrade as the video goes. So today we're looking at the Expedition Recovery Gear Kit by AEV. This guy. Well, that's the back. This is the front. There are a couple of kits that AEV has. They've got the smaller one, which is just a full recovery gear kit. And then they've got this Expedition Gear Recovery Kit. The full gear recovery kit is about $700 and some as of this video, and this one here is $1,320. So the first time I saw that, I was like, okay, that seems excessive. Like, why would I pay that much for a gear kit? And then I started looking online and just kind of going through the different options out there. If you go to Bubba Rope, for example, you can get a 30-foot kinetic recovery strap for about, I don't remember now, $1,600 or whatever it is. And then it's also different, right? They're rated differently depending on your recovery application. This kit is rated for heavy duty vehicles. I've got that Prospector behind me, so anything I'm going to be using on that is going to have to be a heavy duty set of some sort. And so at the end of the day, I decided, you know what? I'd rather get a kit that's fully contained all in one and know that I've got everything that I need in order to recover. So hence how I got here. I'm not sponsored by anybody, so anything that I've got that I showed you on this channel so far is just stuff that I buy, stuff that I want to use, and this is no different. So we're gonna go through it piece by piece, see what's in it, and try to see if it's justified, all right? So take this off first, put this to the side. So this here actually gives us a good rundown of what's in here and lists everything in the bag actually. So I could just show you guys this and call it a video, but we're not gonna do that. Let's see, so we got two 3¼ inch anchor shackles, MBS 57,000 pounds, WLL 9,500 pounds. So, okay, we'll stop there for a second. MBS is minimum braking strength. WLL is working load limit. So the minimum braking strength is the point at which I feel the company feels like they're willing to risk that the rope is gonna break, all right? So you never wanna really pull something that's at that MBS rate. So what you wanna focus on is the WL, which is the working load limit. Something in between those numbers would probably work, but the working load limit is probably what you should ideally be focusing on. So we got 2 anchor shackles, 2 soft shackles, a snatch block, winch extension, recovery rope, utility rope, tree strap, tire deflator, and gloves. So I'm willing to bet you guys that the gloves that they have in there are like lodges or something like that. And it's like my same problem when I go to Home Depot. More often than not, they have no extra large gloves and they just have the lodges, and those never seem to work. But we'll find out what's in this kit. There wasn't an option to buy extra large gloves. You just buy it as a kit, and this is how it comes. All right, so I think that's about it. 12-piece kit. All right, so let's get through the bag. Okay, on the front of the bag, you got 2 big pockets, and they're empty, so no gear in there. So that's kind of cool. You can use them to store a couple of other things in there. Flip it around, another big pocket, and that's also empty. But again, a good place to store extra stuff. It's got an opening on the top part here. Also has a couple of loops in case you wanted to carry it with a strap, and I haven't seen a strap yet. Maybe there's one inside, but it does have loops on it. The bag is made of like a canvasy type material, and it's pretty heavy duty, and I think this weighs about 26 pounds. Open this up. All right, so from the inside, it's just a big pit and everything is just kind of thrown in there. So we'll take it all out and put it to the side, and then we'll work through it one by one. gloves, snatch block, shackle, other shackle. I believe this is the tire inflator kit or deflator. Yep. All right. Tree strap. Winch extension rope. Soft shackle. Soft shackle. Utility rope. Some stickers. And this big guy, recovery rope. And this is Kinetic. And that's about it. Some kind of paperwork in here, but empty bag. All right, so let's see what we got here. All right, so this is everything that comes in the kit. We're gonna start with the gloves, all right? Since we were talking about these earlier. So the gloves are very nicely made, good looking material, good looking gloves. And let's try them on. And yes, they are not the right size for me. So they're just a little bit smaller than what I would want. So these are larges, and yeah, I would definitely need the extra larges, but very nicely made gloves. And I know this is American Expeditionary Vehicles, but we're gonna figure out where some of this stuff is made. The gloves themselves, let's look at this label. Made in the Philippines. They're size US 10, European 9, large. And they're not leather. They're made out of 96% polyester, 4% spandex. That's the finger side. And then the thumbs, or the back of the thumbs, is 99% nylon and 1% spandex. So not leather, but they feel good, they feel durable, and yeah, they're not gonna work for me. You always gotta wear protective equipment, right? So this is very important to have it in the kit, and I'm glad that they did put it in there, even though they don't work. So we'll put that off to the corner here, and then where do we start? So we've got this Kinetic recovery rope in the kit, all right? It's rated for 29,000 MBS and 7,250 pounds WLL. So that's a pretty heavy duty rope. So why Kinetic? Why not just a regular rope? This kit also comes with a regular rope in here, which they call a winch extension. So why this? There's a lot of talk in the community these days about Kinetic ropes. That's supposed to be the evolution, right? Just like we went from an iPhone 13 to 14 to now 15. So now they've got the same kind of thing happening with a recovery rope. So let's go through some of the benefits then of this rope. Why a Kinetic rope? One, it lasts longer. You can use it for more uses. I'm not sure exactly how many uses that is, whether it's double, 3 times, or 4 times the amount of a regular rope, but you can use it for more uses. It's buoyant, which means it floats. It's made out of nylon, so it'll last longer. It's also more stretchy, right? Because it's Kinetic. So a typical rope, for example, is about 20%, and this here will stretch up to about 30%, which means if you're trying to pull somebody out of a situation, you're not going to feel as much of the jerky motion as you may just pulling on a less stretchy rope. So those are just some of the benefits. This one here is 30 feet long and 7/8 thickness, which is 22.2 millimeters. So cool looking rope. All right, from there, we're gonna move on to the winch extension. So this kit comes with the winch extension, and this one is MBS 18,200 pounds, and then WLL 4,550 pounds. So those are pretty good numbers. It's 3/8 inch in diameter. That's about 9.5 millimeters, okay? It's a static line compared to the kinetic line, right? So we talked about this a little bit when we were comparing it with the kinetic, but this is going to be cheaper. It doesn't last as long. It's less bulky, so that's on the positive side, but definitely just the old school winch rope. You can use this to extend your winch in a situation, maybe you're using the snatch block and you kind of need a little bit of extra length. You can use this to extend the line on your winch. It's typically just the same thing you would have on your winch. Okay, next up, utility rope. So this is about MBS 19,600 pounds, WLL 4,900 pounds. It's it's 3/8 thick and 9.5 millimeters, all right? And it's 10 feet long. This here, you can use this in a bunch of different situations, right? You can tell, if you can, I don't know if you can tell from the packaging, but it's got a cover on it. All right, so it's not just a rope. The rope itself is in a nylon cover of some sort, which is just gonna make it more durable. So situations where you can use this is maybe a Jeep rolls over or something like that, and you wanna tie something to the roll bars, you'd be able to use a rope like this. You wanna tie it to an axle or some of those non-conforming pieces of hardware on a vehicle, right? You don't always necessarily have shackles on a car. Maybe there's a Subaru that's in a ditch somewhere and you wanna pull it out. There's not gonna be a place for you to put a D-ring, for example, maybe. And so in a situation like that, this can come in handy. So that's cool. All right, then we move on to soft shackles. We got 2 of these in the kit. They are MBS 35,000 pounds and WL 8,750 pounds. They're 3/8 thick, which is that same 9.5 millimeters and 24 inches long. You get 2 of those, right? So why use that instead of your regular anchor shackle or D shackle? This is for a situation where you don't have a D ring or you're working with things that you don't want to scratch or paint or whatever else not, right? Maybe you want to wrap this around an axle and pull a vehicle out. Maybe the vehicle doesn't have a mounting location for D shackles. Any kind of situation like that. Same thing with the Jeep example. We can wrap these around a roll bar or some other kind of situation like that and be able to recover a vehicle. They're not as heavy duty as a typical anchor shackle, right? This is 57,000 pounds minimum brake strength and 9,500 pounds working load limit compared to the what? 8,700 on this and almost half the MBS. So these are gonna be more durable. So if you're gonna pull out a tractor or an LMTV or something crazy like that, you're gonna want something like this versus your typical soft shackle. But still good to have in the kit. All right. We touched on these anchor shackles a little bit when we were talking about the soft shackles. These are actually pretty interesting. When you're looking at it, it looks like it would rust, right? But they claim it's got this armor galv coated, it's armor galv coated for superior corrosion and resistance, all right? So armor galv is supposed to be some process, scientific process that they use to coat steel using zinc or something like that. So it makes this scratch resistant, rust resistant, and you can paint over that if you wanted to. Personally, it would have been nice if they kind of painted and finished it off for $1,300, but it also has this pin in it that is labeled high visibility gold pin, right there. It doesn't look gold and it doesn't necessarily look high visibility. It's like a interesting nickelish kind of color or something like that, but that's your D shackles and you get 2 of those. Okay, this is made in the Netherlands. The rest of these things so far have been made in Canada, and the gloves are the Philippines. So now this is coming from the Netherlands, which is actually pretty interesting. You'd think in the USA, we'd be able to make something like this, but not sure what that is about. So this is a tire deflator kit, all right? It seems to be made very well, although it doesn't say where exactly it was made. But yeah, I can't really tell. but it's rated up to 60 PSI. So for anybody that goes off-roading, this is one of those super important kits, unless you've got one of those super cool systems where you can hook up all 4 tires at the same time to deflate them, which is kind of convenient and cool. So I am looking forward to getting something like that in the truck. But in the meantime, this is kind of cool. It works, it does the job, and yeah, glad it's in the kit. All right, let's see. Next up is the tree saver, or tree strap, according to them. It's 10 feet long, MBS 24,000 and WLL 6,000. So the way this is supposed to be used is almost in every single winching situation, right? I know a lot of people will just take the winch line and run it to a vehicle, hook it up, and then just pull it out, or wrap it around a tree and then hook it up onto itself and use that to recover yourself. You're not supposed to do that. 1, it's bad for the tree, and 2, you're just putting a lot more stress on your vehicle by doing it that way. The way it's supposed to work is actually involving this and wrapping it around, but I'll show you guys in a little bit. But 24,000 pounds, 6,000 WLL, and at 10 feet for the static strap, all right? This here was just our little leather vinyl, probably bag that goes with our tire deflator. Last but not least is our snatch block, okay? This is rated at MBS 52,000 pounds, WLL 13,000 pounds, and it's pretty heavy. Let's see what we got here. Okay, so it looks to be made out of that same AEMMarchal material, but it's pretty heavy duty, and it's pretty big. I don't have a tape measure here, but it's pretty big, right? It's the size of my whole hand, that same extra large hand that we were talking about before. So it's legitimately big and quite heavy duty. And the way this is supposed to work, I'm going to demonstrate that here for you guys. So a snatch block is basically just a pulley, right? So if anybody knows anything about pulleys, they make lifting loads lighter, right? So it gives you a mechanical advantage. This here, when used appropriately, can actually turn or double whatever amount of winching capability you have. On my AEV Prospector XL here, I've got, what, a 16.5 TIS winch, which is rated for 16,500 pounds. So I could pull a vehicle that's at 16,500 pounds, but you know, again, you're like maxing it out, and I don't think that's ever ideal. What would be ideal, however, is using a pulley or a snatch block. If I use a snatch block, I can double that and make that 32,000 pounds, or 33,000 pounds, I guess, is now the new capacity off that. So the way you do that, we'll get into that now. Okay. All right, so this is our tree strap, pretty heavy duty. And what we're gonna do here is we're gonna pretend this post right here for the lift is a tree. So I would take this, wrap it around the tree, and then loop it into itself, and then just tighten that like so, okay? And 1, this saves the tree like we talked about, and number 2, we're about to see the mechanical advantage to this. I'm gonna then take one of these D shackles or anchor shackles, and we'll take that and loop it around this like so, and then, all right, so now I'm gonna ask for your imaginations, right? So imagine the vehicle is actually behind me. This is my tree. I'm stuck back there, and I've got this set up. I'm going to pull the winch line, free spool the winch line from the vehicle, and I'm going to take that, open this up like so, run the string through this, and then run it all the way back to the recovery point on my vehicle, right? So that's probably easier for you guys to see. It doesn't matter which side I use, but I pull this out, I run the line through here, and then I close it up, and then it runs all the way back to the vehicle. So now it comes from here through this and goes back to the vehicle, okay? This here, you would then attach it to the shackle. All right, tighten that guy up. Remember, the rope is still coming through here. The vehicle is behind me. So this now looks like so, all right, with the vehicle down on the side. So when you do that, you're essentially using that 16,500 winch as a 32,000 or 33,000 pound winch. So if you had an 8,000 pound winch, now you've got a 16,000 pound winch. So that's how you're actually supposed to use this. So for me, it makes sense, right? Why not use a pulley? One, your winch doesn't have to work as hard anymore. There's a little bit of a downside, right? Which means you're technically gonna winch longer than you would if it was just a single line. And then number two advantage is you're gonna run out of rope. So if you had something that you're trying to winch that's further away, you're gonna be at a disadvantage if you try to loop it around itself, because then now you've halved the amount of rope that you have. But fortunately, this kit comes with a winch extension, so you could use it for that. You can also use the utility rope as a winch extension as well too. So that would be good. And if you had to, yeah, I guess you can just straight line winch it. But that is the purpose of this snatch block, and that is what they're used for. I think we have gone through everything in this kit. The kit looks good, guys. Is it worth it? $1,320? I think so, for the peace of mind. For me, it's about the peace of mind of not trying to search out the kit for myself, not trying to put things together. This is rated for my vehicle. It's rated for everything that I'm going to want to do. So there's a mindlessness about it. Could I search through Amazon and try to put something together and save some money? Maybe. But honestly, if you go with all high-end stuff, which is what this is claiming to be, I think you'd end up in a similar type situation, or maybe even spending more. That's just for me, and you do you. Peace.